Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group and What's Up Kansas City. And tonight we have one of the school board members on. Who do we have here?
I'm Mark Wasserstrom, representing Subdistrict 5.
Hey, Mark, let's get right down to business. There's been a whole lot of circulation and coming to Cascade Media about the superintendent, about all of things that are going on behind closed doors as it relates to HR at the district. People are living in fear of talking about issues that need to be talked about to the public because everybody has to earn a living. And it was my understanding that there were some teachers that wrote a letter to Badell, and they were afraid to sign their name to it per se. What do you know about that?
Well, I only know the little bit that the administration has passed on. Last week, all the board members were sent a letter from the secretary, June Kochmeyer, and a copy of a letter that we received from some teachers in the district. The letter was concerning by the language that was used. It was nice, polite enough language, but it was very technical language. The statement was made that Dr. Badell and the administration had created a hostile work environment. Now, you don't go to get a cup of coffee at McDonald's and sit down and hear people talking about hostile work environments. That's something that lawyers and judges talk about in courtrooms. And so the thing that bothers me is that some group of people are upset enough to have been thinking through this in legal terms, and specifically what was said was that
words have meaning, in other words, and the words that they use describe the situation accurately. Now, the reason I asked you that, because our sports program was looking at doing some things with the district, and I had talked to different people, and they had expressed the same sentiment. And that has been going on for some time. Now, as it relates to Cascade Media Group, we have asked Badell for interviews for almost a year. It's been a stonewalling situation. I see him at the games, we put him on, and so forth. The same thing with fundamentally the school board. And I'm letting our public know, and as I said, we represent the bottom 3/4 of the Black community, that we have sent invitations to every school board member to come on this show to explain what's going on at the Kansas City School District. The floor is yours now, Mark. You're the first one that have responded to that request, and I commend you.
This is brought to you by Willard's Book and Vinyls.
The people on the board get out and talk to the rank and file members of our community. Dr. Badell has had two major meetings with bond attorneys and bond advisors and the board of directors, getting ready in the next year or two to ask Kansas City to pass a school bond levy of $400 million. I think they want to raise $500 million, but they want to spend right off the bat $400 million. Now, if you look at the annual budget that just got audited, we had one of the big accounting firms nationally come in and do an annual audit. The audit shows that the total value of the land and buildings owned by the school district, the whole shebang, is $400 million. So that means that 30 years ago, we spent $2 billion building up our buildings. We ended up with something that currently is worth $400 million.
Let me
And
cut you off on that.
Yeah,
Because my other life being a contractor,
yes.
and you brought up what we spent. In all reality, most of that money went to J.E. Dunn because J.E. Dunn was over that project management. That's how Kansas City has done business. And frankly speaking, I was talking to Sheriff Forte just before you got online. And I said, Sheriff, I'm putting your badge on, and it's a new sheriff in town as it be concerning media. And our public officials coming on to talk about why they vote, for who they vote, when they're representing our public. And when they don't come on, we're going to be on them every day. 221 is a different year.
Yeah. One of the sad realities that I've been exposed to during the years of law practice that I had is that the effort for minority hiring gets to be a very vicious game, because everybody says, well, we're going to set aside, or we're going to create a certain percentage of contracts that go to minorities. But what happens is that you get somebody like J.E. Dunn that's not a minority contractor, and they get the general contract. And then the general contractor goes out and looks around for some minority contractors, and they say, hey guys, we're going to give you a subcontract. Well, where do you think the real gravy goes? To the subcontractor, or the boss who's running the show is a general contractor? So, I mean,
but
there's
let me say this to you.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy, but it's not a conspiracy. It's like white supremacy. And Kansas City has been a racist town. I've been here since 78. And they cooled some of the racism out, but it was right under the surface. But and over the last 3 years with this Black Lives Matter movement, it really has bubbled up. And last week, it showed and reared its ugly head in the nation's capital. And so when I see that, and I look at the leadership on the Kansas City School District Board and what they're doing and who's on that board and who are they really representing? Because if they're representing Black people, then the economics would be coming in our community, and it's not. And I'm giving a dig at the whole district. Cascade Media Group has the largest Black digital audience in Kansas City, and we represent the bottom 3/4 of our community. And you've never advertised with us. You really never did anything with us since 2008. And we've covered your school's sports better than any other sports program in Kansas City. And if you can ignore us, you ignore everyone except for your personal friends. And I'm making that allegation, and I'm willing to back it up.
Oh, Carlos, you have to realize one of the strongest leaders that we've had on the school board for years was Melissa Robinson. Melissa was the president last cycle.
She's a warrior.
Now, one of the things that she's not been given enough credit for, while she's there, before she left, she made sure that there was adopted a rule that got voted on and adopted, that a certain percentage would be set as a goal for minority business enterprise as well as women's business enterprise. Women business people get the shaft twice as bad as minorities, okay?
People, but what do you think it takes for her to speak out like that, how that damages her in the money community here in Kansas
No,
City, the white
the thing
community
is,
here in Kansas City.
nobody was going to stand up to Melissa because she's right. So they
Hey,
pass it.
she's the queen.
But what happens? What
In my
happens?
book,
Well,
she's that mythological warrior, that black sister that's saying enough is enough, and I'm smart enough to put it in writing and make some changes to the system.
Well, Carlos, the whole thing is that just getting nice little words adopted at a meeting doesn't get the job done. So after Melissa went on to the city council, she wasn't there to police things. And so at the first board meeting, we were asked to approve some contracts. And I asked in passing whether the contract in question had any bids from minorities. It was a computer contract, in fact. I said, is this a minority contractor? And they said, we have no idea. How are we supposed to know? I said, you're supposed to know because we're supposed to be making sure that we meet our goal of having a certain amount of money out of our budget spent on MBE and WBE contractors. That's why they said, well, we'll report. We think it is. So before the next meeting, I got word back. Yeah, there's a lot of minority participation. The contractor had a lot of blacks working on the docks, loading and unloading the trucks that ship the boxes. Well, that doesn't mean jack shit as far as I'm concerned.
Right. That's right.
So the deal is that I started looking around and I talked to Ken Backus, who's a very, very bright man. And Ken said, Mark, don't you realize here in Missouri, we have the largest computer wholesaler in the United States? It's in St. Louis, biggest computer wholesaler there is. And it happens to be a minority enterprise, just a very successful one. So I called up Quinley. I said, Quinley, we're worried about, and the year after Melissa passed her resolution, we missed the goal by 50%. Okay, we only got half what we were shooting for. I think with the women's enterprise, we got 25%. That's where
Cascade Media Group didn't get 1%.
Well, they didn't get anything.
And we're 100% black owned, 100% debt free, and they didn't need our services.
Well, guess what? As a result of me talking with, I got chewed out. I was told to butt out, that I had no business nosing into administrative details of the district. I was just on the board. I should shut up and get out of the way. So I try to behave myself. But Quinley's pretty good. She of all the people in the district, I think Linda Quinley's a conscientious person. So she sent some folks to St. Louis, and they met in person with the owner of the computer company. And like I told Linda, when you buy a Chromebook computer, it comes in a box, and it doesn't matter what company, what wholesaler you buy the box from, you're going to get the same computer, exact same computer. It's just a question of who you're giving the business to. And after Linda sent a representative to St. Louis to get things worked out with the wholesaler in St. Louis, that's where we've been buying all of our computers since then. And I feel good about it because that's the way it should be.
Well, I think that's definitely the way it should be. But when I'm going by my experience, and I don't feel that I'm asking for anything. I'm really showing that they're not doing their job. I've met with their media people and everything. They say, well, we put our stuff in the Call, we put our stuff in the Star. And I'm like, everybody don't use the Star. Everybody don't use the Call. We specifically deal with the Black community. The district is a large Black community participation in the school district. And how are you not trying to even talk to us? Virtually, they told me, basically, we're not going to use you for nothing. And I'm like, that is the attitude how I think talking about this living in this hostage type situation because everything now, people have to worry about their economics. The way the 1% has the trickle down coming, you know, if you lose your job, that affects your family, your kids, and everything else. So most people, I would say 75% of the population that are in any type of financial or social position, they're willing to see a whole lot of things go down and just be on the sideline. And I don't think our district, uh, definitely the Black community can't afford to let that happen. But the overall community, they're making a mistake when they seeing all kinds of things going on in the district, outside the district, and they're not speaking up and holding these officials accountable. But as I said, it's a new sheriff in town. And if any one of those school board members think that they don't have to come on, when we do commentary on them every day for 7 to 8 to 10 days, we're not like the regular press where we're going to get on you and then forget about you. We're going to be asking you, why don't you want to come on to tell the people that you claim you represent how you represent them in the story?
Well, Carlos, keep your eyes open because there's another powerhouse person who shortly will be coming on the board, I predict. There's a fellow by the name of Bruce Beatty, and Bruce works over at City Hall. He has a hardworking wife who's the head of assessment and works on all the real estate for Jackson County and Kansas City, Gail McCann Beatty. And they're a power couple. And so he's going to run to take over my position. My term ends in April, and we have elections coming up April 6th. And so Bruce Beatty's signed up to run for school board. And I think, and he's on the board of Freedom. He's a strong leader and a bright man.
Let me say this, even Freedom. Hey, Freedom don't get no pass. Freedom hasn't done a bunch of leadership in the past 25 years. They are supposed to be reorganizing and trying to right the ship. But from my perspective, I don't give none of these people no credit. I'm in media. That's my concern. I'm not trying to be a politician or nothing, but leadership. Nobody is bringing these things up, and that's why you had Black media. That's why you had HBCUs, because we couldn't participate in the mainstream. So I have the responsibility, as I see it, to look into things and point out things to my community and bring my community onto our channel so that they can be better informed, so that they know a school board election is coming up. We need to have candidates that we're talking to before that point comes, that we can back, and they understand that we have a program that we want to be carried out if you get elected. And that hasn't taken place in the past.
Well, an election should be, at its best, an opportunity for candidates to talk about what they want to do. It should be an opportunity to develop issues. The last few cycles of the school board, I don't think anybody's talked about any issues. Nothing. It's a popularity contest, and nobody's really running and nobody's getting excited.
No, let me say this. That's the status quo, and that's the puppet master at work. That, the puppets are doing what they're supposed to do. Do not do anything unless I pull a string. If I don't pull that string, you do nothing. And when I pull that string, most of the time, it's some economics behind it. End of story. I know I talked most of the interview, but I had a lot to say. And Mark, From
You're a
day
shrewd
one.
observer.
Yeah, from day one, I think when you came on, when you were running, I had gotten the opinion, and it bore out. There were individuals on the board that really didn't like you because you looked into things. And then they try to assassinate your character.
Well, the whole thing is, I'm like a good churchgoer. The best thing I do is to say amen. So when you make a comment and it's right, I'm not going to go and grandstand and say, oh, this is what I think. I'm going to say amen.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm just saying, I think we have a good relationship, but you might then feel that I observed all of that from day one. And I will say to my public, there hasn't been one time that I call Mark or send him an email, say, come on. He'd be like, when? We were talking a little while ago. He said, I got the message. When you want me to come on? I said, how about in the next half an hour? He said, no problem. And that's how the people that represent you, especially in 221, and you got a Zoom and all that putting off, go home, relax. Call me when you relax and ready to come on. But you got to come on and explain your position when you say, my position, I'm representing this district or this community, and you need to talk to your constituents. What do you have to say about that? And what do you have to say in closing?
All I have to say is that I think that each one of my colleagues on the board has an obligation. It's part of their job to come on shows and talk to folks and let the community know what's going on and answer questions. And not
They
to
all send me. What is it specifically you wanted to, like they can guide the narrative. And I'm like, what? They got PhDs and they can't come on and have a common conversation? What the hell's going on? No, the structure in Kansas City, the business from City Hall on down is to control the minions and control what they say. And they do it by, as I said, making examples of people that have said something, losing their job. And we can't operate in fear. And that's what the press is there for.
Well, we do have some leaders on the board, the school board now. We have Manny Abarca, and Manny is fighting every day.
Manny helped us start What's Up Latin America. Go look at that on Worldwide. Matter of fact, they just had finished doing a segment about an hour ago. And then the other night, the girl did a segment coming out of the Dominican Republic. The whole thing is about Latino X, that generation. And Jacqueline Aguirre hosts that show. She is a law student at Notre Dame University, right out of here, out of Kansas City. Went to undergraduate, and now she's in law school, and she hosts What's Up Latin America. And she's bringing guests on from all over Latin America, talking about Latino X and the racism and the things that are going on in the Latin American community. And she's bringing professors and different people on to talk about the issues that are in each one of our lanes. And so the Kansas City School District is no different.
Well, but Manny's just one of several. Another person who has my utmost respect is Marvea Jones. Marvea is a head of.
She just was on last night. Look at her.
She's good. She's
she
good.
Was representing the health department. As I told them, listen, how you keep having all these white people come out to talk to Black people about taking an injection when most Black people know the experiments that have been played on Black people throughout history. Instead of you using your mind or for a lack of better, you should have hired Cascade Media to do some consulting with you to show you what you should be doing in approaching the Black community.
Well, but Marvea is pushing a very, very carefully studied, thoughtful agenda. Her major issue that she's been promoting at the last several board meetings is revising our discipline policy, because kids, even in elementary school and grade school, kindergartners are being suspended from public school. Can you imagine some teacher looking at a kid and saying, Johnny, you're such a bad person, I'm not going to let you come to school? And Marvea says, the whole purpose of education is to bring people along, and you don't do that by sending them home. She said her big thing is that with elementary school, you just find some way to bring the message to these kids without putting on their record they're losers and they should be getting ready to go to jail.
We know there's a string, a red line that goes all through that. It was a pleasure having you on. Hey, Mark,
well, thank you.
Hit me up before your last days. Matter of fact, the last day on the school board, hit me up so we can really have whoop it up conversation. What's your closing words, man?
Stay strong. We're working hard and things will be better.
All right. Hey, Mark, I'm giving you your brother card.
Okay.
Hey, hold it. You know how Martin and the civil rights community really walked hand in hand when it came to all the things that Black people are really facing now, but the Jewish community walked hand in hand with us through quite a bit. And I think now it's time to really team back up, because we already know what America's about. And those people didn't sit on their hands to get us together. And for us to bring this nation and this community back together, we got to team up and we got to do the right thing.
There's plenty of work to do.
Yeah. All right. As when we close, we say, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
The program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.